Sugar cookies, a quick recipe. Gotta be exact.
Okay, let's start by mixing together 3 cups of flour, our pinch of salt, and our tablespoon of baking powder, and then we'll sift it all and set it aside. Next, we're going to mix together 3/4 cups of unsalted butter. We've got that at slightly above room temperature, and 1 cup of sugar. We'll go ahead and crack 1 whole egg, add in a half a teaspoon of almond extract, vanilla extract, and 2 teaspoons of milk. And then we'll slowly add in our dry ingredients and mix those together just until they start to come off the side of the mixer. Let's be careful here to not overhandle our cookie dough. We just want to blend it into a nice ball. And then we'll go ahead, take a serrated knife and cut that in half.
Nobody likes warm balls. In the fridge, 2 hours.
Once you've removed your cookie dough from the fridge, leave it on the counter for about 5 minutes. It's going to be a little bit easier to work with. And you'll roll it out to anywhere between 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick. Okay, bring out your cookie cutters, get to work, have some fun. Choose any of the designs that you may have on hand. And then we're going to put these into the oven for 6 to 10 minutes at 375 degrees. But always be sure to keep an eye on them. We don't want them to burn, especially those thin ones. For the icing sugar, just 1 cup of powdered sugar, a couple of teaspoons of milk, and 1 teaspoon of corn syrup. And here's just a basic way to put the icing on your cookies. You'll do a little bit of a dunk and swirl, and then turn it sideways and leave the excess drip right off. And you'll go ahead and do that to any of the amount of cookies that you'd like. Here I'm going to dress them up with some red and green icing, a little bit of a Christmas design. Merry Christmas to everybody from Uncle Drew's Kitchen.
From Uncle Drew's Kitchen, Merry Christmas. Boom. These are delicious. I've already eaten so many of them. Wow. These are really good. Wow. Wow. Give these a try. They're very, very easy to make. The recipe is very simple. I'll have it in the description, but 3 cups of flour, a pinch of salt, and when I say a pinch, we're talking 1/4 teaspoon of salt. It's nothing much there at all. Half a tablespoon of baking powder, I believe. We're gonna mix in 3/4 of a cup butter, along with 1 cup of sugar, cream that up. Add in 1 whole egg, put in a half a teaspoon of almond extract, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, teaspoons of milk. Whipped all that together, made up the dough. Make sure you're only mixing that dough until it starts coming off the sides of your mixer. If you over mix, we're done. So once it starts coming off the side of the mixer, turn it off, remove it from your mixer, on your board or paper, whatever you might have, your tray. From there, make a ball, take a nice serrated knife, slice it in half, 2 smaller balls. Once you've got the smaller balls, you can either leave them like that and wrap them up tight in plastic wrap, or you can push them down just a little bit, almost making like not a little saucer, but a puck, if you will. Wrap those up in plastic, put them in the fridge for a couple of hours. You can even leave them overnight. When I was making this video, I made half of them at night, the next half today. There's just too much going on for me to try and do everything at the same time and do these cookies. So you can leave them in the fridge overnight too. There's nothing wrong with that. When you have the dough, the cookie dough from the fridge, bring it out, leave it at room temperature for 5 to 10 minutes, but no more than that. We want to work with cold cookie dough. That was the whole point of putting it in the fridge, to let the fat condense, solidify a little bit more. That way when it's baking, it takes longer for it to ooze out. It's going to keep your cookie together. Once you've got your dough out on your board or tray, whatever it may be, from the refrigerator, I didn't use flour. I actually used powdered sugar, or some will say confectionery sugar. Spread that on your board, on your rolling pin as well. Flatten it out, and we don't want to manage it again too much. Depending on the thickness of your cookie that you want. I've got some here that are maybe a half an inch thick. I've got others in the cookie jar again. These are very, very thin. So that's another point. If we're making thin cookies like this, you have to be very careful when they go in the oven. Cooking time. Cooking time for these can be anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes. On those thin ones, we're talking 6 minutes max. So if you have to set a timer, stand by your oven, do that, stand by the oven. I'm gonna take off my hat because I'm getting extremely hot with that one. And I'll just change over this one. Another little bite of cookie. Where was I? Oh yes. If you have to stand by your oven, do so, and keep your eye on them. So if we're cooking the thin ones 6 minutes tops, 3 minutes in the oven, open the door, use a oven mitt of course, spin your trays around the other way because some ovens will have a better concentration of heat than others. We want them to cook evenly and we certainly don't want these to burn. So 3 minutes, rotate the pan, back in another 3 minutes, take them out of the pan. Don't put them on your stove because that's still going to be hot. If you have a board, on the board, but you'll notice in this video, I cooked them on the baking tray with parchment paper. All I was having to do at that point is I use my cooling rack, I bring the tray over, I simply pull the cooling rack out, and I have, or sorry, the tray out. I pull the tray out, and now the parchment paper is with the cookies on the cooling rack. We let them cool. Completely let them cool. You can have them or eat them just like that, serve them just like that, because they are very, if you want to make this icing, like I have on everything out here, like I have on those, I'll pull this out, it'll be easier. The star, there is icing on there, very thin layer. Very easy at that point to do all these cookies, and I still have some more. 1 cup of powdered sugar, confectionery sugar, a couple of teaspoons of milk. Stir it up. You'll see a really good consistency there. Add another teaspoon or so of corn syrup. That'll help give you a nice glaze like you see on these cookies, and then it'll also give it that nice hard shell that we're looking for. Your cookies will have to be completely cooled. Kids out there, why would that be? If we're taking a hot cookie and dipping it into icing, sugar, what's gonna happen? It's gonna melt, it's not gonna stick. So you'll see here, we've got a nice layer, and you'll have noticed in the video, earlier on in the video I should say, cookie in the sugar, little twist, pull it up, let it drip, turn it, let it drip the other way, or you can let it drip down there. Again, it won't take long for that to harden. And if you want to add some decoration, like I've got on here, the ones that I used these guys today, satin ice. I haven't used these before, but what caught my attention is on the side here, they both read nut-free vegetarian. So that caught my eye, which I like. Nut-free vegetarian. I think that helps out a lot of people. We've got lots of cookies, serving these up. Santa Claus is gonna have milk and cookies, although some Santa Claus like having steak, eggs, maybe some potatoes, and a 2-sip Stella by the tree waiting for them. Just a note out there. The cookie cutters I had, I use these little guys here, so they're really tiny, which is good. And the reason why I like the tiny ones, actually the container, this thing costs, I want to say it was, oh there it is. It was on sale, it was 12 bucks. So I got a dozen in there, gave me all the different pieces that I wanted to use. The reason why I like them is that you can roll out your dough, and then if you want the thin cookie, no problem, but if you want to make a thicker cookie, you can go here. This looks to me, it's about 3/4 of an inch. So you've got a lot of options. Again, from Uncle Drew's Kitchen, me to you, Merry Christmas, have a cookie, have a coffee. Oh boy. That's a sugar rush. I better not get my hand in this cookie jar again. Okay, Uncle Drew out. Boom.